Hey folks, Craig Danger, vinyl record player. Ho! Today, we'll be talking about 5 of the most binge-worthy, bingeable even, vinyl and or music channels currently on the YouTube. Lots of programming. You can fall into a wormhole. Great music talk. You're gonna love it. So please, safety first with the danger. Buckle up. All right, and we're back, and today talking about the 5 most binge-worthy channels. I'm talking about, people are always talking about how they binge this show and Game of Thrones and this and that. How about music channels? Well, you know what? They are out there on the YouTube. Not always. Even Craig Danger's vinyl record player, I'm not 100% sure. You can definitely check out my playlist, but I don't know that I'm super binge-worthy. I can see how people might get a little sick of the danger if taken in massive quantity. But all of these, mostly gentlemen, some lady, are channels that you definitely need to check out. The reason why I'm doing this video is, frankly, when I started watching weirdos like myself on the YouTube, that's all I wondered was, there's got to be someone else. There's got to be this. There's got to be people talking about this kind of music, this kind of music. Turns out there is. And frankly, I'm bringing you 5 of the most binge-worthy. As in, you can curl up with a beverage and you can watch these guys for 8, 10, 20 hours if you want. Really, really good content. So you know what? Let's just start out. Basically, I'm not ranking these in any particular order, but I would say probably in terms of being the most influential on myself. And frankly, still classic channels. So first off, we are going to talk about what? Probably a channel that you all well know if you're into 70s, 60s, rock, hard rock, prog, metal, etc. I'm talking about, of course, Sea of Tranquility with Pete Pardo, legend in the business as far as I'm concerned. That gentleman from basically day one, I was a huge fan of when I actually found his channel. I almost couldn't get away from it. So many amazing shows on his channel. I don't know where the guy finds all the time. Basically, if you're looking for any kind of stuff when it comes to 70s hard rock or prog, etc., even up until today, this guy talks about it all the time. He's got interviews. He does a sort of a weekly panel show called the Hudson Valley Squares. But for me, what really started it out for me was the guy has got a massive playlist where he ranks the albums of bands. As obviously a very serious music nerd myself, I was like, oh, what a great way to sort of dip your toe into the catalog of a band. Then if somebody who clearly knows the music, and Pete Pardo, wow, blows my mind how much he knows in terms of band, how many bands that he's heard. But I would say that yes, his ranking the albums and his top 10 songs, those playlists, you could binge for a couple of hours and just learn an incredible amount of stuff. But like I say, his channel is so overboard in terms of content. You could lose yourself in there for days. And Pete, again, really great presenter. It's all sort of single frame stuff. So not a lot of cuts, but you know what? He's a great presenter. And again, I consider him one of the legends in this game, which is, of course, adult males sitting in front of their phone making videos about music. Anyway, so that is my number 1, Pete Pardo, Sea of Tranquility. In the comments here for all of these, I'm going to be linking to a playlist on their channel. I recommend that you subscribe to all of these because let's face it, if you are interested in music-based material, you're going to love all these channels. So Pete Pardo, Sea of Tranquility, whoa, just go there, see what you like. There's bound to be something. And yeah, you know what, if you're still here, hey, why not give a brother a like? How about a little bit of if you're not subscribed, why not subscribe? I mean, is it really going to hurt? We're talking about clicking a button. Oh, button clicked. Everything's great. You're getting a bunch of danger videos. You're like, oh, this is, well, I don't know. It's fine. But anyway, want to give thanks to everybody who likes and subscribes. It's been really helping a lot lately. And yeah, I know people are starting to see this. stuff, not just the ravings of a lunatic in his living room. Number two, we're going to talk about, of course, legend in the vinyl game, in the vinyl community, as it's known. I can only be speaking of who? Norman Maslow. Norman Maslow, for me, genuine legend at what he does, which is phenomenal storytelling. The man has a massive collection of 60s and 70s records. He's got a crazy, sort of almost photographic memory of seeing some of these shows, of some of these bands in the 60s and 70s, growing up in San Francisco. Now he lives in Seattle. Basically, all of his videos are really, really well done. They're all basically kind of single shot. He doesn't do a lot of editing, but you know what? Wow. The quality's there, the storytelling is there. The man's just a great presenter. He was a photo agent, you can tell. The man, his videos are always perfectly framed and they always look good. But it's amazing. For me, his key things, his key playlist, which of course I am linking to below, have got to be Whack-A-Mole. Whack-A-Mole is a scenario where he just basically picks from a giant wall full of records 5 randos, and then he just starts talking about these records. The encyclopedic knowledge on this gentleman is absolutely mind-blowing, because he can start talking about a record, and if it turns out he can't talk about that record, he'll pivot to maybe something about the producer, maybe something about another musician, maybe something about a musician that knew this band. Either way, like I say, the storytelling on the Norman Maslow channel is absolutely of quality. And like I say, if you're a fan of 60s and 70s music, woo, he does some phenomenal stuff. But he also will show records, coming up until today. But for me, what really hooked me was Whack-A-Mole. Just to be able to talk about random records like that. That playlist is phenomenal. And he also does another phenomenal series called It's the Music, Stupid, which is, again, fabulous stuff. I've met the gentleman in person. He doesn't put on any airs. This is him on video, same as if you met him on the street. Like I say, real gentleman. I happened to meet him in Seattle. I was up there visiting friends through the Rachel's Ghost show. We kind of ended up connecting, and he was like, "Oh, come out and let's go shop for some records." Oh, lovely man. But again, really, very bingeable channel, and I would say certainly the Whack-A-Mole, I've almost seen, I believe, almost all of them. I think he's up into the 170s or something like that. But they're all about 10 to 20 minutes, and he just basically is picking random records and talking about them. But again, phenomenal storyteller. Definitely something, if you do not already watch the Norman Maslow channel, and you're into music and you're into vinyl, particularly, again, if you're into 60s and 70s music, woo! Check out Norman Maslow. Absolute stud in the game, as I guess many people might say, or they might not. So number 3, counting them down, I guess, or counting them up, doesn't matter. 3 would be in the middle of 5 now, wouldn't it? That's for all you math fans out there. But at any rate, number 3, I'm going to talk about, this is still a relatively fledgling channel. It's quite likely many of these channels you may have heard of. Some of them have upwards of 50,000 subscribers, etc. So you may be one of them, and that's fine. This one still is in about the 2,000 subscriber range. And for me, that's kind of mind-blowing. And that, of course, is the As It Should Be channel. The As It Should Be channel, fantastic show. Mainly, the channel is obviously created by a gentleman named Paul Bertolino, who does a lot of his own content on the channel. But for me, the absolute win on the As It Should Be channel is the ranking the albums and the ranking the singles playlist that they put together. The reason why? Well, 2 bona fide, genius, and amazing reasons. That would be 1, Crystal Durant, DJ Crystal Clear, and 2, Tommy Von Voigt. Basically, what you have is almost a panel discussion where, with the ranking the singles, they basically started in the 1950s and talked about the top 10 plus honorable mentions of singles every year until the 2000s. Mind blowing. So there's easily 30 to 40 videos there. Right now, they're still finishing. I think they're about 2007, 2008. as of this filming. They started in the 50s talking about the 10 best albums of the year, including, again, their honorable mentions. The vast amount of knowledge amongst these three people, amazing. But it's not only really that, it's like watching three great buddies who know each other, who know how to do the jokes. They're good with the jokes, but also, frankly, these are just three amazing music fans, each coming from different perspectives. So what's beautiful about it is that, it's not all, oh, I agree. Sometimes it's, oh, that's a turd. That's terrible. Oh, well, basically the discussion on As It Should Be is absolutely a win. That's why, of all these channels that I've talked about today, that's probably the one that you know probably the least of. But again, I will link in the comments below this phenomenal channel, which, by the way, yes, watch it starting from the best singles, move into the albums. Like I say, super binge-worthy channel. And their shows are not short either. You can get upwards of an hour, but it's kind of one of those programming situations where they each give their top 10, and then they kind of talk about albums that they hate too, which is, oh, who doesn't love that? But yeah, you're watching, you're sitting, you're watching, you're enjoying. Oh, an hour goes by. Oh, so yeah, you want to talk about binge-worthy. These guys do hour shows times 40, 50. There's easily about 80 to 100 hours on the As It Should Be channel, just with basically music geeks sitting around, ranking albums, talking about music, all genres. Well, let's face it, mostly popular music, rock, soul, etc. But can't get enough of that channel. Still, like I say, on their ranking the albums of 2007 was their latest one. By the time this comes out, 2008 will have shown up. So, As It Should Be, the As It Should Be channel, specifically, and I'll link to this in the comments. Specifically, I'm talking about ranking the singles and ranking the albums. Like I say, they do it basically from the 50s to today, which is incredible. Finally, or not finally, second last, easily I got to talk about Pop Goes the 60s. In my opinion, one of the best. Matt Richardson does this. I believe he's Canadian. Love my Canadians. I always do. But you know what? One of the best, most heavily researched sort of channels that I've seen in basically on the internet. This guy doesn't just go to a Wikipedia page and then tell a story. He's deep into basically all the bands he talks about. Particularly, what I will link to is his band history, his 60s band histories. I mean, there's a Beach Boys one that's like 6 parts, and it's phenomenal. And he's playing songs, a lot of vinyl playing on it, where he's doing the needle drops. He's playing excerpts of the songs. He's telling the story of the band. He's telling the story of their biography, etc., etc. And I gotta say, it's just a hell of a watch. He's a very, very good storyteller, but again, super organized, and just the research on this channel. The gentleman is reading books about these bands and then coming out and then doing big, long thought pieces on really, phenomenal bands. Like he just finished one about the band Love. He has a great one on the Byrds. He does like a 6-parter on the Beach Boys. A lot of Beatles content if you're into that kind of stuff. But basically, if you're into any of the music of the 60s, this guy, Matt Richardson on Pop Goes to the 60s, it is a phenomenal channel. Something you should definitely check out. So again, I will link that in the comments. Like I say, just really complete shows. He's playing the songs. He's talking about the songs. He's talking about the recordings. He's talking about the bands. Pop Goes to the 60s. It's something you have to see, really, to believe. And we'll finish it off. This one, I was looking for binge-worthy content, and I was kind of stuttering and puttering, rather mostly stuttering. And you know what? I realized I got to go to Fantano. Fantano, of course. If you're into newer music, which I'm not, I got to be real, mostly not. But you know what? If you're into newer music, you may know of a channel called The Needle Drop. Well, the gentleman who does The Needle Drop which is primarily sort of music reviews and stuff like that. He also does another channel called Fantano, which of course is him, Anthony Fantano. And I just love that channel. It is a lot of really great stuff. Of course, Fantano, who dubs himself the internet's busiest music nerd, if you've not seen him so far. He does a phenomenal set of videos called Let's Argue, where he basically goes on the internet and, looks over people's takes on music, on bands, on et cetera, et cetera. And it is always just a joy to watch. Very funny stuff. But again, this is more for modern music lovers. But you know what? Dude's got a great sense of humor. He's got a great editor. It's a lot of fast cuts. Very, very good stuff. Fantano, the Fantano channel. Again, more for modern music lovers. But the fact is that, yeah, incredibly knowledgeable gentleman. And I will link to the Let's Argue playlist in the comment below. And you know what? I mean, it's a much watch, I have to say. He is the internet's busiest music nerd, and wow, it shows it. The expansive knowledge on this gentleman, fantastic. And also, he cracks a good joke now and again. So yeah, that is it. That is Craig Danger's 5 most binge-worthy vinyl and music channels on today's YouTube. This is, of course, shot in April of 2024. Things change. I always update these things. But you know what? People always love these videos. If you're still around, please like, subscribe. Things have been going a little better on the channel. Been getting more subscribers, a lot more viewers, a lot of great comments from people. And, fantastic. I love it. But, again, it's always important to pay sort of respect to the people who really inspired you in the first place. And that's, again, what these 5 gentlemen, and of course, Crystal Durant from As It Should Be, very inspirational folks. And again, really binge-worthy. If you got a bunch of time to kill, watch their videos. Really funny stuff, interesting stuff, and also just encyclopedic with many of these folks. So yeah, that's it for this edition of the Craig Danger program, the vinyl record player. So yeah, I guess I've got no choice but except to say that I'm going to see you on the next one.